So you always wanted to learn to scuba dive, but found all this gear to be just a little scary. Well, the reality is that scuba gear is easy to assemble and a lot less intimidating than it seems once you break it down. So let's do that. First, let's take a look at what we have here. This is the tank. This is where we keep the compressed air that we're going to be breathing underwater. Over here we have a buoyancy compensating device, or BCD. It's really a jacket. It looks kind of like a flotation jacket, like you'd wear swimming or your kids would wear. On the back there's a ring that can attach to the tank, and this is what is going to allow us to add or subtract air to keep us at the proper depth once we're underwater. This is the regulator. This is what takes the high pressure compressed air in our tank and converts it to something that we can breathe through the second stage. Now, I'll break that down a little more when we get to it. So, how do we put this all together? First of all, we remove the dust cap from the tank. That's just what it says, to keep the dust out of the tank when you're not using it. You always place it with the opening facing away from you. However, for our demonstration, it's a little easier for you to see if I turn it sideways. When you do this, you're going to have it facing away. Now that I have that ready, I take the BCD and I place the strap over the tank. When you have a second strap, you place that over the tank as well. You slide it down. Now, how far down do you put it? Well, the Professional Association of Divers Open Water Divers Manual states that we should use a 3-finger distance. How does that work? 3 fingers placed on top of the tank valve should be about even with the top of the BCD. So we make a slight adjustment till that's about right. The reason for this is so that once we get our first stage in place, it'll be sitting here, and we want it high enough but not too high so that it's in the right place to put the hoses all in the right place, but it's not going to hit us in the back of the head when we look back diving. Now that we've got it around the tank, you want to take this handle, pull it out, and snap it closed. There's usually Velcro. You add the Velcro. So the tank's attached, but we want to make sure that it's attached well. In order to do that, we take our whole BCD unit and we pick it up and shake it. This is the time to find out if your tank is loose. You don't want to find this out once you're walking down to the beach and the tank slips out through the strap in the back. Okay, so now we get to the regulator. As you can see, there's several pieces to this. This is called the first stage. The first stage is what actually takes the really high pressure air and reduces it to a lower pressure. And then we have the second stage regulator, and this is where we're going to breathe from. And you say, well, there's a couple other things there, right? So you always dive with a buddy. So in case your buddy has problems or runs out of air, you've got a spare. We call this an octopus. We also have high pressure regulator hose, which is going to go into my BCD, as well as a submersible pressure gauge, or SPG. And this tells us our pressure in the tank as well as our depth. So, as I stated, we set the tank again as you would assemble it. You're behind the tank. It's over here. Now, which way is the right way? This way, that way. How do we do it? How do we decide? Because this rotates. You always want to think of it as, I want my regulator on the right hand side. So R for regulator, right hand side. The left hand side is going to be my SPG, or submersible pressure gauge. So once I align it, I simply take it, hold it into place, and twist the little handle. Once the handle is snug, not really tight, just snug, because there's an O-ring in there, and that's going to keep everything all sealed up good. If you squeeze it too hard, the little O-ring will actually pop out and air will leak out of here. So now the first stage is attached to my tank. I mentioned that there was this extra hose. This extra hose is what attaches to my buoyancy compensating device so that I can adjust the pressure in my BCD. Now, we've got everything essentially assembled. However, we've got to first turn the air on and check everything. Now, according to the National Association of Underwater Instructors Master Scuba Diver Manual, we always want to make sure that the submersible pressure gauge is face down. when we turn the pressure on. If for some reason when you push all that pressure down the hose, it was to burst the face out of there, it could actually cause the plastic glass that's in front of it to explode and hurt you or someone else. So we always want to make sure that's face down. Now, we take the handle, we crack it open just a little bit. You'll hear a little bit of pressure, and then you continue to rotate the handle until it's fully open. Once it's fully open, I can check, and I see that I've got 3,000 pounds of air that's going to last me for quite a while underwater. So, last but not least, again, we have our second stage regulator, and this is what I'm going to use to breathe once I get in the water and start learning how to explore the new underwater world. Now that everything's assembled, you're ready to work with your instructor and get in the pool and learn how to explore the new world, along with some other things like fins or a mask that is going to allow you to see underwater just as well. So once again, it's a lot of stuff. It's intimidating when you first look at it, but it's easy to assemble and a lot less intimidating once you break it all down and know what everything is.